been sold out, and those are being shipped out last week and this week. Just amazing. It's the size of a phone book. But hopefully, she is retired now, but hopefully we can twist her arm in the future to come out with a new edition. But that edition, at least, is gone with the wind. And I wanted to get her on to talk about solutions today, just briefly, because we had her on for an hour last week, ahead of her leaving the country for a few months on a round-the-world vacation, certainly deserved. But she wanted to start the interview with this quote, and it's at the back of a new article that she gave to us at Infowars.com last week, The Death of Free Will by Charlotte Thompson Iserbyt, December 2010. And here's the quote by one of the great literary minds of our age, C.S. Lewis. And it continues, if education is beaten by training, civilization dies. See, instead of education, it's training. That's what we have, training. TSA is trained to mindlessly stick their hands down our pants. The school's trained when an 8-year-old has Luden cough drops that aren't even a drug to have them arrested. It's mindless obeyance. But when the Federal Reserve steals trillions, oh, that's okay. They're wearing suits. If education is beaten by training, civilization dies, he, Lewis, writes. For the continuing lesson of history is that civilization is a rarity, attained with difficulty and easily lost. Sounds like Thomas Jefferson. And by the way, we're not a civilized country now. We're a bunch of dumbed-down people that think we're tough, and we're going into bondage and getting hurt real bad because we don't value liberty. Oh, the listeners of this show do. But you try to talk to many of those adults out there, they are babies. These men and women are immature, mindless, sheep-like prey animals, and they're going to get hurt bad. I'm sorry. If education is beaten by training, civilization dies, he, Lewis, writes. For the lesson of history is that civilization is a rarity, attained with difficulty and easily lost. But instead, they laugh at you today. Hey, we better guard our freedom. Hey, this is tyranny. He's funny. He says we shouldn't just give all our rights up. What an idiot. I'm like, hey, if they take your liberty, they'll steal everything you got and make you slaves. It always happens. Oh, look, he uses big words. Oh, fancy pants. You know, I tell Austin cops about corruption. They go, and laugh at me. You know, like I'm weak trying to warn them. Like their ignorance is a shield of infallibility. If education is beaten by training, civilization dies, he, Lewis, writes. For the lesson of history is that civilization is a rarity, attained with difficulty and easily lost. It is the liberal arts, not vocational training, that preserve civilization by producing reasonable men and reasonable citizens. When you hear liberal, that's not the modern liberal. The liberal art is Thomas Jefferson, is classical understanding of history, and a love affair with knowledge. See, I don't have a love affair with knowledge about football scores, and I'm not a fantasy football coach. I'm in the real world. I'm fighting the globalist. I'm fighting real people that have the power to destroy my way of life. Charlotte Iserbyt just got done with a 2-hour interview with Rob Dew and Aaron Dykes, who are up there in Maine with her under all the snow. Charlotte, great to have you on with us today.
Thank you very much, Alex, and I'm glad you read that quote. That was the hand of God, that quote. We'd finished the article, which you put up last week, I guess. And the article's great. We think, Debbie Neal and I who wrote it.
Yeah, we'll post the new PDF today. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I found, it was a fluke. I found the wonderful C.S. Lewis quote, which is marvelous because they can always say, you know, we're kooks, right? But C.S. Lewis is no kook. So anyway, what we're putting in is the totalitarian Soviet planned economy workforce training used in Cuba, North Korea, wherever you want.
And they're openly setting up planned economy, announcing regional government. It's all happening.
Yes, and the tragedy on this one, the latest, everything seems to be hitting at once. I have a feeling they're moving very fast this week, and that's why I'm so glad you managed to get my books out. But anyway, the latest news is in the Bangor Daily News today, or yesterday, it's an article entitled Report Calls for Reshaping Augusta. Now, Augusta is our state capital, so that means the whole legislature and all of our rules and regulations, et cetera. Now, what I want to point out, this is a very upsetting article, because we elected a wonderful guy as governor, Paul LePage, as governor in early November. He's a self-made man, and with all of our principles. And when I say we, it's Tea Party people and, really traditional conservatives, rock-bound coast, which we don't have anymore. It's a flabby coast now. But these are the traditional Mainers who voted for Governor LePage. And we have great faith in him, but we're warning everybody. We hope that he's going to succeed in rebuffing the agenda, the people around him, some of which are getting their views from the Heritage Foundation and Brookings Institute, et cetera. I'm going to read a little bit of this article, if you don't mind, Alex. And what I want the people out there to be alert for is the same thing happening in their states, where they've elected people they thought were going to be very good, and probably were, until they were encircled by the enemy with the fancy, the fancy reports, the task force reports on how to save money.
And by the way, what's happening in Maine and New Jersey and everywhere else is the same deal. They bring in regional government. They say you're bankrupt. They cut all the basic funding.
Right.
But that will never pay anything off if we don't get rid of the private Federal Reserve. Right. That's the real debt black hole. So they're calling it conservative to slash veterans' health care.
Yes.
That has nothing to do with balancing the budget.
No.
It's the 1,500 trillion derivatives that has to be dealt with.
Yes. Well, I was just so taken aback by this, because for years I have been sending this particular quote to, it's out of my book, to all the media, and they refuse to print it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to just read you this quote. It's on November 8th, 1975. This deals with regionalism, and it's in the Communist Daily World, their journal. And the article is by a fellow by the name of Zeitlin, a communist. And it's entitled "Planning as Socialism's Trademark," in which he states the following. Cities in industrially advanced countries develop complex economic, social, and political interaction. In this process, major cities tend to consolidate neighboring smaller cities and settlements into metropolitan regions. Rationally, metropolitan regions should constitute governmental units having comprehensive planning and administrative powers within their boundaries. In our country, the United States, rival capitalist groups jealously guarding their special prerogatives have rigidly maintained the traditional boundaries. Folks, we've got to continue to rigidly maintain them, boundaries of states and counties, while national economic and social development has created metropolitan regions that overlap those boundaries. He goes on to say, we have no regional government and no comprehensive regional planning to speak of. Regional government and planning remain concepts our urban scholars and planners have long advocated in vain. In socialist countries, metropolitan regions enjoy metropolitan regional government and comprehensive planning. Of the many regions on the vast territory of the Soviet Union, the Moscow region commands special attention, for it has been since the revolution the country's economic and political center.
And that's what Agenda 21 is, and they all admit it, and they're getting rid of the sheriff's departments all over the country. Right. They've got unelected regional. We now have the 10 FEMA regions with 10 governor council under Homeland Security openly. I mean, and you're right, Charlotte, they are now moving at warp speed ahead of the engineered financial collapse.
Let me read this last thing he says, which is laughable. He says, 1975, this communist writer, the economic and functional efficiencies and the social benefits that comprehensive national, regional, and city planning make possible in socialist society explain the Soviet Union's enormous and rapid economic and social progress. End quote. Okay, look, folks, I have not been able to get this published in the media ever since I put it into a letter in 1975. This is regional government. This is what's going in right now. Now, in Maine, I knew that this was going to happen, But sometimes you just have to let it happen. I'm so happy I'm on with you, Alex, right now. I want all of your listeners to understand that this is the plan to take us down into a communist form of government with a planned economy. This is the government section, the government business section, the merger of government and business, regional government. The other section is education with a school to work. They go together.
And that's the big secret, is that communism, collectivism has been created on record by the mega banks. They want to get rid of their competition and suck everything offshore where they're above the law. This is economic war. We are under full-bore attack right now.
Oh, yeah, and really we are. And it's all happening. I honestly think it's happening mostly the last 2 weeks. Because the DiLorenzo education plan, which the kids are going to graduate at 14 or 21, that you ask yourself how good an education that could be. It's that way because it's school to work, okay? That plus, and that comes out of Europe. We have an Office of Economic Cooperation and Development plan. These links are in that article, Death of Free Will. You have to click on it. The 4 links are vital for people.
Absolutely. Stay there, Charlotte. The bankers are taking over right now. Let me tell you a little bit about one of our great sponsors, HomeGain.com. This is the place to get you started buying or selling a home, finding a realtor, and getting any real estate questions answered. Go to HomeGain.com and see what I'm talking about. All you need to do is type in your home address, and you will get an instant free estimate of your home's value online. This is a great way to be able to monitor the value of your home. And again, it's absolutely free. There are tons of tools to help you. For instance, if you want to remodel your home, go to HomeGain.com. Use their Home Sale Maximizer to help you determine which home improvements can most increase your home's value before you put it on the market. For 10 years, these folks have been helping home sellers and buyers. Visit their link at Infowars.com. Look for Max, the orange home gain gorilla, to help you with any real estate needs you might have. You'll love this site. It's HomeGain.com, HomeGain.com. Check them out today.
Is it really possible to get out of debt without payment plans or attorneys? 18 years ago, we developed a program that has made thousands debt-free in just 90 days. It's called Zero Debt in 90 Days, and it works for all credit card debt, medical bills, even collection lawsuits.
When I first joined, I was being sued. So I used the program methods, and after filing one piece of paper, the collection lawsuit was dismissed.
With Zero Debt in 90 days, your success is guaranteed in writing. There is no other program of its kind. Don't be alone when creditors gang up on you. Let our team of experts provide the resources to fight back and stop creditors in only 90 days, guaranteed. Prevent wage garnishments, bank levies, and stop collection calls with our proven program. Call Zero Debt in 90 days now, 800-477-9256, and ask for free information from an expert who also completed our program. 800-477-9256 or ZeroDebtGuaranteed.com. 800-477-9256 or ZeroDebtGuaranteed.com. In a coming apart world, you need something to keep it tied together. That something is Atwood Rope, the highest quality rope made in the USA, from exotic braids for military, rescue, arborists, shipyards, tow line, or boating. Quality rope at affordable prices you and your customers can depend on. Find a dealer or shop online at atwoodrope.net. Enter promo code RADIO to receive 100 feet of 550 paracord free with purchase. Atwood Rope, working to keep the world tied together.